Hi, guys, and welcome to another episode of Military Spouse to Millionaire. Today, we're going to be talking about a term that I've been using to death, and I haven't heard anybody else really use it. I don't think I invented it or anything like that, but I definitely haven't heard other agents using it or other content creators using it, and it is the term real estate chicken. What is a real estate chicken? And this episode, honestly, so important to me. I think that it's really, really important to shed light on the fact that there is no perfect time to buy a house. There's a saying out there that the best time to buy a house was yesterday. And that's because real estate, just like life in general, is constantly changing, and opportunities, just like in life, in real estate, opportunities to seize something beneficial, they're fleeting. They come and they go. So anytime that I take the time to print out notes for myself or write down notes for myself or print out statistics or market data, I just really want you as my audience, as consumers, to really, really take these episodes to heart, because I get on here sometimes and I just go like fly by the seat of my pants. I have a lot of things always rattling around in my noggin. And I live, eat, sleep, breathe real estate every single day, all day, every day, working only with military families, getting them here, helping with their moves. So I live this stuff so much that I could probably at any given time sit down and bang out a podcast and just be like word vomiting stuff at you guys. But the episodes like today's episodes, where I take the time to really focus what I'm trying to say, please listen up, especially if you fall into the real estate chicken category. So, what is a real estate chicken, you might ask? A real estate chicken is a potential home buyer that is sitting on the fence, for lack of better words, not knowing whether or not they should buy or being too scared for various reasons. Now, the word scared, the word whatever. People get real touchy when you use their, like, I'm not scared. Okay, if you want to dress that up and put a different word on it, that's fine. But a certain percentage of you people out there who are listening to this and you're contemplating not buying a home in Hawaii, if you're a military family coming here and you're not going to buy a house here in Hawaii, most people, there are exceptions to every rule, but I would say most people, some percentage of that trepidation is because you are worried or fearful or scared of something. And that is okay to talk about. It's not a diss on you. It's not even unreasonable. It is a scary thing to buy a house anywhere, and certainly scary to buy here in Hawaii. That's where the education piece comes in. So I just wanted to tackle that really quick, because in my opinion, largely speaking, real estate chickens that are sitting on the fence, a large portion of you are sitting on that fence because you are scared, or you're waiting for a perfect time to come in the market to buy a house. But real estate chickens are not exclusive or only to be found right now in the market. Real estate chickens were around after the housing market crash. Real estate chickens were definitely around during 2020 and 2021, where interest rates literally were 2 or 3%, and you still had people who were not jumping into the market, not jumping off that fence, because they didn't want to have to get in a bidding war or compete for a house or, do the things that were necessary at that time to secure an appreciating asset at historically low interest rates. So this is not a new phenomenon, but the real estate chickens that are on the fence now, largely speaking, are on the fence and they're clucking about, I'm not buying right now because interest rates are so high, which, just side note, I digress a tiny bit, so just bear with me for a second. If you watched any of my content last week, you will see statistical numbers showing you that interest rates for VA loans right now are actually under the 30-year average for interest rates. And that is not me quoting interest rates, but My husband is a mortgage broker, and it is researchable data that you can find all on your own that VA loans right now are under what the 30-year historical average is. So that prompted me to sort of have this conversation with you guys, with all the real estate chickens out there who are sitting on the fence and you're clucking about you're not buying now because interest rates are so high. But you might have also been the real estate chickens 3 or 4 years ago that were clucking about, I'm not buying a house now because, I have to offer over asking price and I have to do this and I have to do that. Or you're a real estate chicken that's clucking about, I'm only going to be in Hawaii for 3 years, so I'm not going to buy because it's only 3 years. Never mind that it's also $100,000 plus in BAH that you're giving away. So a real estate chicken, just to summarize, is anybody who is sitting on the fence, worried or having trepidation or fears or concerns about buying. Whether you didn't take advantage of COVID and got a 2% interest rate, whether you're not taking advantage of sellers' credits now, whether after the housing market crash, people who bought after the housing market crash bought short sales, bought foreclosures, bought distressed properties because of that issue, I think are some of the bravest, smartest, most forward-thinking people out there. To have such a big event happen in an industry and for those people to still have the wherewithal to be like, no, everyone needs housing. This will rebound. I mean, we bought our first house in 2009 after the housing market crashed. Okay, so like December of 2009, we bought our first house. And that got us started on our, subsequent real estate journey, getting into real estate professionally. I talk about that on episode 1. If you want to know about it, go listen to it. But these people, these real estate chickens, they are the people that always are saying, oh, I'm not going to buy now. I'll buy when. I'll buy when there's not so much competition in the market. I'll buy when interest rates are lower. I'll buy when it's, safer or when I'm retired. They will always find a reason to keep sitting on that fence. The point of this podcast, though, is not to talk about or debate if these people exist. They exist. They're out there. We all know someone who is kicking themselves now for maybe not having bought a home at 2% interest in 2021. And I'm going to talk a little bit in a second about why I think people who purchased during the last 2 years are the new evolution of those people. So what I'm saying is we look back now at the people who bought in 2021 and got a 2% interest rate. We look back at them now and we're like, shit, that is amazing. Like you have a 2% interest rate. That's amazing. I think going forward, maybe 2-3 years from now, people who are buying then are going to look back at people that bought during the last 2 years and they're going to say, shit, this person got $20,000 of credits and concessions from the seller of the house that they as a buyer used towards their benefit. Like that's going to be crazy in a few years. So let's talk about what the real estate chickens are going to do and subsequently what's going to happen to the market when interest rates do start coming down. This has been a topic that is getting more and more discussed on all forms of media, news, social media. I am the least political person ever, but it's no secret that the president of the United States is putting a lot of pressure on the Fed chair to reduce interest rates. So whether it be this year or whether it be into next year, interest rates are going to trend downward. And that is not something you have to take my word for. If you're watching this on any platform, I will be putting various screenshots of other sources, including Fannie and Freddie, who have spoken about this, talked about this, are projecting these things. This is not like a Kendra Atienza opinion-based statement. This is all over mainstream media on all fronts that interest rates are trending down. They are lower than they were 18 to 24 months ago, and they should continue to trend down through this year, definitely into next year. Let's talk about if interest rates were to drop 1%. And even this is not me-based conjecture. Barbara Corcoran, who knows more about real estate than I would say 90% of the people out there, Barbara Corcoran, a few months back, was talking to a media outlet and said, if interest rates drop 1%, 5 million buyers will re-enter the market. So that's 5 million chickens getting off the fence and clucking, cluck, 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 all the way across the yard to get houses because they've been sitting and they've been waiting for that to happen. When that happens, kiss all of your buyer benefits goodbye. So right now in the market, and really for the last 24 months, any transaction that I've done, I have been able to get credits or concessions, they mean basically the same thing, from a seller to give to my buyer. In real estate, just to break it down very simple, because I know not all of us are familiar with real estate terminology, and that's fine. That's why I'm here. A credit or concession, when I say credit or concession in this instance, you can just hear cash, money, dollars. So as an example, I'm writing an offer today. We are writing the offer for $5,000 over asking price. We are asking the seller to give us $15,000 in credit. That credit, you as a buyer can do a multitude of things with those credits, with that money that you're getting given from the seller. Commonly, people are doing something called the 2-1 buy down, where you take that credit and your lender can buy down the interest rate 2% for the first year you own the home and 1% for the second year you own the home, which means you're not seeing today's interest rates until year 3 of owning the home. This is not an ARM loan. I do want to be very clear before somebody hops into my comments and says something reckless. This is a fixed rate mortgage, but the seller is paying for you to have a lower interest rate for the first 2 years that you own this home to allow time for a more comfortable payment while we wait for interest rates to continue to drop and you refinance. Now, to all of my military people out there, if year 3 comes and you haven't refinanced, number one, you're going to be making more money. So you're not going to be making the same money 3 years from now as you are now. But also, you're selling the damn house anyways because you're moving every 3 years. So even worst case scenario, if you got to that year 3 payment, which again is a fixed rate mortgage, and also you have to qualify for the loan at the highest possible payment. So there's no risk of people, service members or otherwise, getting into payments that they can't afford. You have to qualify for the loan at the highest possible payment. So all the real estate chickens, right? Interest rates drop 1%. 5 million real estate chickens jump off the fence. They're off to the races. Cluck, cluck, cluck. Houses, houses, houses. Now, initially, the knee-jerk reaction is, that's fantastic. People are buying houses again because interest rates are lower and affordability goes up. That's fantastic. And you're not wrong. That is fantastic. But every action has a reaction. So the reaction is sellers are now going to be getting multiple offers again. So right now in our market, honestly, guys, it's been paradise. I know a lot of agents might not agree with me, and there's definitely always ups and downs and trials and tribulations being a real estate agent, and I can do a podcast episode on that if you want me to. But I think in the almost decade that I've been doing this professionally, the last 2 years have been some of my favorite time because we are in a much more neutral or balanced market in the sense that, buyers can't act crazy, sellers can't be out of pocket. Everybody has to operate at a certain level of just being reasonable, which is great because if it's one direction, really buyer market, really seller market, humans as a species, I think are a little opportunistic and we will take full advantage of something if given the opportunity. So with this really balanced market that we've been in, we're seeing things like the offer that I'm drafting today where, sure, the buyer gave a little. They offered $5,000 over asking price, which for reference, $5,000 over asking price for you as a buyer is only going to change your monthly payment about $25 or $30 a month. So we're not talking about anything that's going to like break the bank, but we're asking the seller to give us $15,000 basically from their profit. That's not monopoly money, guys. That money is coming from the seller's profit. Now, people who have owned houses here in Hawaii for the last 3, 4, 5 years with our strong appreciation can oftentimes afford to give that and still be coming out with a profit. That's fantastic. But we are still asking them to give us $15,000 of their profit. So to sort of ease that hit, that's why sometimes I'll recommend offering a little bit over asking price. And keep in mind, you're still protected by the VA appraisal. I could do a whole nother podcast episode on all of this. I don't want to get too far off topic, but the really neutral market that we've been in has been a dream, in my opinion. Everybody has to act fucking reasonable and be really cooperative, right? And they are. And the real estate market continues to, move along. When interest rates drop and all of those people flood the market, it's going to result in, I don't want to say 2021, but it will be 2021 adjacent in terms of sellers will start to get multiple offers. Days on market will go down drastically. And that will mean that all of these great seller credits and concessions and buyer benefits that buyers have been getting for the last 2 years, they will go away. And I don't think it's going to be like a gradual they're going away. I think it's going to be over the course of maybe a month or two, these credits are going to go from commonplace, very uncommon, and eventually gone altogether. Because there will be more people buying houses, which means sellers have to make less concessions. How that affects you as a buyer is, yes, it's great because you're getting a house at just a naturally lower interest rate, but it's not going to be necessarily as low as with the 2-year buy down. Or if you're someone, like as an example, I have a closing next week, my client was okay with the payments at the year 3 number, right? So when you get payments doing a 2-1 buy down, there's year 1, year 2, year 3 payments that Clayton gives people. This particular person was comfortable with the year 3 payments, but I still got them $12,000 of credit. So they took half of that credit. Think of your credits as a pie. They took half of their pie and they covered all of their closing costs, paid for by the seller. They're taking the other half of that credit and they're having Clayton pay off a credit card. That's right, you heard me. The seller is essentially paying off my buyer's credit card, which is crazy. We've had people pay off loans, cars, credit cards, pay maintenance and association fees up to a year in advance, cover closing costs. Like you can mix and match how you spend those credits once we get them. You can do a full 2-1 interest rate buy down. You could do a 1-year buy down and have your closing costs covered. The way that you can mix and match things with these credits is wild to me. So no matter what you would want to do with these credits, they're of net benefit to you as a buyer, right? Even if you just did a simple principal reduction, even if you took the credit and put it on the principal of the house and gave yourself some instant equity, all of those things are a net total, without question, benefit to a buyer. And that is the market that we are in right now and have been for the last 2 years here in Hawaii. But when that changes, not if, when that changes, then we're going to go back to what it's normally like here. And that is a very seller favorited market. Why, you ask? Is it a seller favorited market here in Hawaii? Because we don't have enough damn houses, you guys. That is why Hawaii is one of the safest places to invest in real estate, because we always have a constant deficit of housing and always have such a overwhelming demand because of all of the military installations here. We have all the DoD civilians here supporting those installations. We have foreign investors. We have the local population. We have so much demand on our market, and we are not Texas, right? Like D.R. Horton can't come in and clear a field and throw up 1,000 more houses. We are out of space. Like, it is a simple supply and demand issue, and we don't have more land. So we can't just build more houses to accommodate for the demand on our market. So when interest rates go down and all these buyers decide to get off the fence and, seize the moment, rates have gone down 1%, this is a great deal, this is what we've been waiting for, and all of these people enter the market, it is going to sharply and quickly, without question, put a halt to these seller credits and concessions. So that is why I think that a few years from now, maybe it's 2030 and we're looking back and we're like, wow, remember during, 2024, 2025, I knew this guy, he bought a house in Hawaii and he got $20,000 from the seller that he did X, Y, and Z with. Those are going to be the stories that people are telling, like we are talking about now with COVID. Like, damn, I know somebody, I'm sitting in a house right now, guys, that has a 2.25% interest rate because we duked it out in 2021 to get this house and have this interest rate. We all know people like that. And I think that people who have bought during the last couple of years and got that amount of seller credit to do any number of those things that I just mentioned, you guys are the real heroes. You guys are the rock stars. Anybody who chooses to get educated and make an education-based decision, not a fear-based decision, literally gets a gold star. People that bought after the housing market crash, people that bought during COVID, all of my 150 plus clients that have bought with me in the last year, bravo. Golf clap for all of you. Even if you're not a client of mine and you're buying now, or you've bought in the last 2 years, or you buy in the next 6 months, good job. Because you know what? When the rates go down, you're going to refinance and you're going to end up with the same interest rate as the real estate chickens, but you got more net benefit from the beginning, and you likely bought a home sooner, which means you're already maybe 12, maybe 24 months into having built equity for yourself, while the chickens were on the fence, not building equity, waiting for rates to go down, missing the opportunity to secure credits and concessions and have these benefits to them as a buyer. So those of you who took the time to see the long game, to play chess and not checkers, congratulations, guys. You are the big winners here. And that comes from getting educated and not making a fear-based decision. Don't just go online to an online mortgage calculator and be thumping away, plugging in numbers, because I fucking promise you, you as a consumer don't know how to get the payments accurate for this interest rate buy down. Mortgage calculators on the best of days are bullshit, let alone when you start trying to calculate interest rates and interest rates reductions and all of those types of things. So for those of you out there who took the time to talk to me, talk to Clayton, get accurate payments, really realize that this is doable, that you can actually afford a house here in Hawaii, good job, guys. Gold star. You guys rock. One last note or piece of information that I'll leave you guys with is if you're listening or watching this and you are a past client of mine and you've bought in the last 2 years, I'm gonna need you guys to keep your phones close. Keep an eye on your emails because when rates go down, even if they go down 0.5%, Clayton is very, very likely going to be reaching out. He already has systems in place. He is already preparing for a huge refinance boom, even if they drop 0.5%. And again, I'm not a lender. I'm not talking about interest rates or getting in the weeds with lending stuff. But I did tell Clayton that I was making this episode, and he was like, make sure you tell everyone to get back to me. If Clayton reaches out to you and tells you that it's time to refinance, get back to him immediately. Even if it's only 0.5%, you can refinance, and you can refinance every 210 days after that. So as an example, during COVID, when rates were like dropping and dropping and dropping and dropping, there was like an 18-month period there where Clayton was like refinancing someone and then 212 days later, refinancing them again. And I won't get too in the weeds about it, but when you refinance with Clayton, he doesn't tack on money to your principal balance. He can get lender's credits, and that's his lane for him to talk to you about that. But we're not ever going to refinance you if we're tacking money onto your principal balance, because that just eats up your equity. And we don't want to give your equity to the bank. We want you to keep it, but we also want you to pay a lower interest rate to the bank, because then you make equity and get a bigger profit faster. So that's definitely a one-on-one conversation for people. If you have questions about that, reach out to me, reach out to Clayton. But just a quick note for all of my peeps, all my finding home families that trusted the process and have bought in homes in the last 2 years, keep your phones close. Keep an eye on your emails. Like last time we had a refinance boom, Clayton was so busy and overwhelmed that he literally had me reaching out to people, telling them, hey, Clayton's going to be contacting you to refinance. I'm just letting you know so you can start having conversations about it, because it was like a Jerry Lewis telethon in my house. So that's what I'll leave you with. Thank you guys so much. As always, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe. I wouldn't have any of this if it weren't for you. And all your real estate chickens out there, get off the fence.